So now that we've finished the drawing, and again, it's taking up that whole 6-inch square as best as possible, you're going to start to add color. Now, the nice thing is, if you have other art materials at your house, you do not have to necessarily just use colored pencils. If that's the only thing that you have that's in color, then obviously please use them. But if you happen to have watercolor, or if you wanted to try this in acrylic, if whatever your material that you're comfortable with, if you'd like to try that, you can use any colored media. So that's kind of the next thing. I'm going to be doing mine in watercolor because personally that's my favorite. And I think I can do some really nice things with that. So, but again, if you only have colored pencils, then that is obviously 100% fine. So as you begin to add the color, it's kind of up to you where you start to choose and what you work on first. So I'm going to just kind of show you where I would start with mine, but again, it's kind of up to you on how you want to start yours. So because I'm working with watercolor, one of the things I have to do first is really make sure that any of my pencil lines around the area that I'm going to be working in are really light, because they will definitely show up with the watercolor. So I'm just going to start off first, just coming in along here. My paper is also not really created too well for watercolor. It's definitely more for drawing materials, so I definitely want to be careful too with that. So as I'm working this first day, I'm just looking to apply some of my color wherever I can. I'm going to erase this line now. So with all of our animal eyes, it's important to see the color and really notice that the colors are not flat on these animals or these humans, and that the eyes themselves have like a lot of detail going on. So as you begin to work, it's going to be really important that you do notice kind of everything going on in that eye as you're adding in your color. So right now, again, for me, watercolor works really well because I can focus on using light and dark and kind of working it all together. But again, if you're using colored pencil, if you have like a darker yellow, like around the side, obviously you would have to add brown with your yellow probably if you don't have a lot of colors. You know, if yours is blue and it's dark, you know, you might want to add like greens or purples, or kind of really start to look to see what you have going on in there. Maybe a dark brown would work really well for you if it's kind of dark. So trying to stay away from black as much as you can when you're trying to create shadows, especially like over here in this area of the eye. It's dark over here. This is definitely dark, but like in the eye itself, it's not the same. It's like a brown. So I'm going to pull some of my browns that I have. I need to work those in. And so if you don't work black in, black just flattens your work out. So that's why you want to just try to always not use black. Try to use color when you can. It will allow what you're working on to not look flat. And if you are working with like watercolor or a paint medium, I would suggest you working from the like what's in the back. So for instance, obviously the eyeball sits behind the lid, right? Obviously that's kind of it. So I work on the eyeball first, I'd work on the lid, and then I'm going to work on the fur as I work on mine. So that's kind of my process. Again, if you're doing a paint medium, I would suggest that just because you'll find it a little bit easier on yourself in that sense. I do need to keep fading out my colors, but I'm also trying to keep away from that pencil line that I have for right now, so I'm just kind of blending out my colors a little bit. Let me erase this pencil line now. I kind of I'll still be able to see a little bit of it, but I definitely don't need it to show up that much. Again, if you're using a paint medium, it'll probably be helpful to do that. If you're using colored pencils, hopefully you haven't pressed super hard with them, so make sure that you have, you know, really light pressure going on. If you have an area that's dark, you can leave it, but I would really suggest anything that's like a light area, you have your pencil lines erased. Otherwise, you'll be able to see them. And I can still see mine pretty well to some degree, so that's why it'll work out just fine as I begin kind of that next color to the inside. So as you add color, again, it's your choice what you start with. It's your choice on the medium. So regardless, just be thinking about that. But when you do begin to work, just note that I'll probably ask what you are working with, so that way I can help you out and help you better yourself with your work, because every medium is different in the technique and the way it's applied. But again, if you are very comfortable with colored pencils and you want to keep working with that, then go ahead, by all means, do so. If you're kind of tired of colored pencils and you have some other medium at your house, like a paint medium of some sort, feel free to start trying that out. That's not a problem. But again, it's kind of your choice with what you work with. It's just whatever you find to be the most successful for you, which is why I'm choosing watercolor, because it's my most successful medium. So, as you work, reach out if you have questions.